Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji San Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Pranams Mataji. Pranams to everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. So yesterday was a wonderful session by our Mataji. So the conclusion part was very nice, and then the prayers by different verses. So that was very nice actually. So today we are going to start with the introduction part of the 19th chapter, the summary part, and then we will go into the sloka actually. So here it will be very specific to the Bharatra Varsha. Open the Veda base. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevayam Bhavatya Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjanaya Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadasiva Padandikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhana Shute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Manchakalpadarupyasya Kripa Sindhu Piyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavade Paschitaya Deshadharini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Bhagavadam, Canto number 5, the creative impetus. So today we are going to start with chapter 19. So the description of the island of Jambudvipa. So one of the islands actually. So sorry, one of the verses in that so many islands are there. So here the glorification of the Supreme Lord in the form of Lord Ramachandra happens actually. So yes, Madhumai Krishnakant Mataji, I humbly request you to recite this, what is that, this introduction part actually.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 19, a description of the island of Jambudvipa by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This chapter describes the glories of Bharata Varsha, and it also describes how Lord Ramachandra is being worshipped in the tract of land known as Kimpurusha Varsha. The inhabitants of Kimpurusha Varsha are fortunate because they worship Lord Ramachandra with his faithful servant Hanuman. Lord Ramachandra exemplifies an incarnation of Godhead who descends for the mission of Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkrutam, protecting the devotees and destroying the miscreants. Lord Ramachandra exhibits the actual purpose of an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotees take the opportunity to offer loving transcendental service to him. One should surrender fully to the Lord, forgetting one's so-called material happiness, opulence, and education, which are not at all useful for pleasing the Lord. The Lord is pleased only by the process of surrender unto him. When Devarshi Narada descended to instruct Savarni Manu, he described the opulence of Bharatavarsha, India. Savarni Manu and the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the origin of creation maintenance, and annihilation, and who is always worshipped by self-realized souls. In the planet known as Bharatavarsha, there are many rivers and mountains, as there are in the other tracts of the land. Yet Bharatavarsha has special significance because in this tract of land there exists the Vedic principle of Varnashrama Dharma, which divides the society into 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Furthermore, Narada Muni's opinion is that even if there is some temporary disturbance in the execution of the Varnashrama Dharma principles, they can be revived at any moment. The effect of adhering to the institution of Varnashrama is gradual elevation to the spiritual platform and liberation from material bondage. By following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma, one gets the opportunity to associate with the devotees. Such association gradually awakens one's dormant propensity to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and frees one from all the basic principles of sinful life. One then gets the opportunity to offer unallied devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Because of this opportunity, the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha are praised even in the heavenly planets. Even in the topmost planet of this universe, Brahmaloka, the position of Bharatavarsha is discussed with great relish. All the conditioned living entities are evolving within the universe in different planets and different species of life. Thus, one may be elevated to Brahmaloka, but then one must again descend to earth, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna. If those who live in the Bharatavarsha rigidly follow the principles of Varnashrama Dharma and develop their dormant Krishna consciousness, they need not return to this material world after death. Any place where one cannot hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from realized souls, even if it be Brahmaloka, is not very congenial to the living entity. If one who has taken birth in the land of Bharatavarsha as a human being does not take advantage of the opportunity for spiritual elevation, his position is certainly the most miserable. In the land known as Bharatavarsha, even if one is Sarvakama Bhukta, a devotee seeking the fulfillment of some material desire, he is freed from all material desires by his association with devotees, and ultimately he becomes a pure devotee and returns home back to Godhead without difficulty. At the end of this chapter, Sri Shukadeva Goswami describes to Maharaja Parikshit the 8 sub-islands within the island of Jambudvipa. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So from this introduction part, we are able to analyze, that is the prayers. Again, the prayers will be offered by Bharatavarsha. Sorry, I pronounced it wrongly. Bharatavarsha. I got confused. So it is a Bharatavarsha. So where we are, the India, it's the main part actually. And this land possesses a very, that is a very special mercy only, actually, we can tell, because Varnashrama principles has been established here. And even if some deviation happens, and there are ups and downs also, it will come back to the track at any point of time by the mercy of the Lord. So, because Lord descends here, Paritranaya Shadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkritam. So that must come to reinstantiate the that is the dharmic principles, and then to rescue the devotees and to destroy the miscreants. Lord always descends here. So it's a we can tell the special quality of the Bharatavarsha. So this chapter describes the glories of Bharat Varsha, and it describes how Lord Ramachandra being worshipped in the tract of land known as Kimpura Varsha. Here there are totally, it has been mentioned actually, like 8 sub-islands. So, and in this Bharat Varsha, there is a Kimpura Varsha. So the inhabitants of Kim Purusha Varsha are fortunate because they worship Lord Ramchandra with his faithful servant Hanuman. Hanuman is performing the prayers here. Lord Ramachandra along with the inhabitants of the Kimpura Varsha. Lord Ramachandra exemplifies an incarnation of Godhead. He is also an incarnation of Godhead. So, and the purpose of his incarnation also, it is very nicely has been explained actually. So, to protect the devotees and to destroy the miscreants and to establish the religious principles. So, that is one of the main criteria. So that the living entities can live here peacefully. So, the peacefulness of the living entity will come when they perform the devotional service. So that will lead to the devotional service. So ultimately, when a living entity performs the devotional service, going back to Godhead will be very easy. So no need to come back again. Even in this, that is the 14 lokas, in the Bhumandal actually, the human form is the most fortunate form, wherein even though a human performs many good deeds, pious activities, because of that he may gain the good deeds. Still, he may go up in the one of the lokas until he is getting liberated. He has to, whichever devata he is praying, also he will go there to clear off the punya. So whereas in and then they have to return back here. So it is like that only. We have studied in Bhagavad Gita. So wherein Yanti Deva Vritan Deva Pitru. That means who worship the Devatas, they will go to the Devaloka. Who worship the Pitrus, they will go to the Pitruloka. So like that, whomever a living entity worships here, they will go to that particular loka. Whereas those who worship the Supreme Lord will live in the abode of the Supreme Lord. So that's how we have studied in the Bhagavad Gita. So here the piousness of this land is very, very important actually when we are walking through this, and the glorification by the different devotees, elevated devotees, the pure devotees we are going to walk through. Lord Ramachandra exhibits the actual purpose. So he played the role model how a human form of the living entity, when they exist in this land in Bhumandal, so how they have to take their life. That means how they have to take further steps in their lives. How what are the things they have to follow. So he played a role model. So everyone likes Ramchandra. So there is no one in this land actually who will not be fond of him because of the one that is Ekapatni Vrata. So Ramachandra exhibits the actual purpose of the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And devotees take the opportunity to offer loving transcendental service to him. So even the Rishi Munis in the Dandakaranya also, they also perform the same thing. So one should surrender fully to the Lord, forgetting one's so-called material happiness. This is a very, very nice line of information actually, which has been given here in this purport kind of thing by Srila Prabhupada. Yes, one should surrender fully to the Lord. So there should not be any unconditional. That means Haituki. So apratishita, apratihata. So that means without any motivation or some that is Haituki means motivation. That means without having any personal intentions or anything they are aiming at, they should not do. So that's how the devotee should surrender to the Lord. So one so-called material happiness. Here, one person who is totally surrendered to the Lord, so he will not be bothered about the material happiness. Material responsibilities will be executed in such a way that it is as a duty. as the duty, not as any with any outcome of that material duty. He will not be having any expectation. So thinking that he is very opulent here, so that also will not matter for them. And some people will be having, they would have done a very higher education in a very nice way. So, but still, for God, actually is full of knowledge. Here we are getting educated to survive in this world. Okay, those are all the skills we are developing here. So, whereas it's nothing will be it is not useful for pleasing the Lord. Very nice line, actually, the information and given by this purport by Srila Prabhupada here. The Lord is pleased only by the process of surrender unto Him. The ultimate goal of this surrendering to the Supreme Lord by the living entity will be benefiting the living entity. Lord is not going to benefit anything here. So, in fact, whatever anxiety the living entity is possessing, actually, he will be totally surrendering, means he will be totally dependent on the Supreme Lord. So, Lord takes care to take care of the living entity, and then whatever devotional service the particular living entity is doing, the benefit of the devotional service will be given to him only. Lord is not asking anything from us. He has everything. He doesn't need anything from here. So we need to get elevated in the spiritual platform. So for our goodness only, Lord is expecting all these things. The full surrendering is unto Him. It will only benefit the living entity, not the Supreme Lord. So He is not expecting anything from us. So here, and one more thing, after the Hanuman prayers, along with the inhabitants of Kimpuru Varsha, so now Devarishi Narada actually descends here, and then descends here to instruct Sarvani Manu. There are many, the total 14 Manus in that. Sarvani Manu has been instructed about the opulence of the Bharata Varsha. So the fortunate land actually in this universe is the Bharat Varsha. So Sarva Manu and the inhabitants of the Bharat Varsha engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Samambonam, who is the origin of creation, maintenance, that is the sustenance and annihilation. So he is the source of everything, and who is always worshipped by the self-realized soul. So a self-realized soul will always worship the Supreme Lord. In the planet known as Bharatvarsha, we are also the part of that place actually. So we are seeing many rivers, mountains, and there are other tracts of lands also, like how Kimpuru Varsha is there. So like that, there are other tracts of islands also. Yet Bharatvarsha is the special significance because in this tract of land there exists the Vedic principles. Why it's more significant? Because of the Vedic principles. Still rituals are being performed, and then still the Vedic principles are followed. So we don't know, the percentage of following here may vary based on the impact of the Kali Yuga, wherein Varnashrama Dharma has been taken care very nicely here. There may be fluctuation, but again it will be restored back. Like how in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna descended to reinstantiate the religious principles, to punish the miscreants. And then it was a very wonderful, after the Kurukshetra war, it was a wonderful situation wherein Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled this country, that is the entire land, for 32 years. So it was a very nice thing wherein the dharmic principles has been re-established. So once the degradation starts here, and then so when actually the Lord will descend, it depends on that is he as per His will He will descend, and then He will establish the religious principles here. So that is the significance of this Bharatavarsha. So which divides the society into 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and ashramas, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. So these are all followed here. Furthermore, Narada Muni's opinion is that, the opinion by the great Devarishi. So even if there is some temporary disturbance, This is what actually the fluctuations in the variation in the religious principles actually followed by the living entities here. So in the execution of the Varnashrama Dharma principle, this has been executed, this always will be executed by the living entities here. They can be revived at any moment. It can be restored by the Supreme Lord at any moment. That is the significance. The effect of adhering to the institution of Varnashrama is gradually elevation to the spiritual platform and liberation from the material bondage. So this is the main intention of following the Varnashrama principle. So one will get elevated to the spiritual platform, and finally they will get liberated from this material bondage. By following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma, one gets opportunity. Yes, we are also in that same thing wherein we are in the initial phase. So we all joined the 18 days course here, and then by the mercy of NND Prabhuji and Guru Maharaj and all, we have been still continuing here actually. So and our dormant, this Krishna conscious has been, at least to an extent, it has at least some 4 to 5% we would have revived here. And still, it may be a long path. We don't know where we are situated, but still, we always associate with the devotees. We are always inclined to that association. So that makes our life more easy. That's what we have seen practically. So wherein Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, he has given here, that is the practicality. So one then gets the opportunity to offer. So in future, we may get opportunity to serve the Lord in an unalloyed devotional way. So because of this opportunity, the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha are praised even in the heavenly planet. So the inhabitants, this is a great fortune for the inhabitants of the Bharatavarsha. Even in the topmost planet, that is the Brahmaloka, the position of Bharatavarsha is described with great relish. That means above us there are 6 lokas. So in that, living the ghostly planet loka, that is Devaloka, Makar Loka, and then Satya Loka or Brahma Loka, Tapo Loka. So all those things, Pitruloka, here and all. So they are actually praising the inhabitants of the Bharatavarsha here. All conditioning living entities are evolving within the universe in this 14 worlds, actually 14 lokas, wherein when we downgrade below the Bhumandal, we were not able to again come back. So that is a problem. We should not go. So once a living entity gets elevated to the upper planet, that is an option. After clearing the punya, he may again come back to the Bhumandal, and then he may perform the devotional service, and he can go by the mercy of the Lord. He may go. He can go. That is an option. Okay, whatever action he is going to perform, based on that, his destination will be defined. So here in this universe, different species of life, like the 84 lakhs of species, one will be having based on their karmic reactions, they have to pass through. Thus, one may be elevated to Brahmaloka, but then one must again descend to hell to go back to the Godhead, because there in this loka we are acquiring this that is the good and bad deeds, whatever action we are performed. Whereas in the other lokas, we'll go and clear the punyas actually. We are going to clear that account balance will go down, whereas here we'll get accumulated. So that difference is there. So like that, then one must, so to gain that and then to perform the devotional service, one must descend to the earth, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. Ha Brahma Bhuvanan Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. That means if those who live in Bharatavarsha rigidly follow the principles of Varnashrama and develop their dormant Krishna consciousness, we are in the forgetfulness actually. So once we forget the relationship between the Supreme Lord, we are totally in the materialistic platform. But by the mercy of the Guru Parambara, by the mercy of the Lord, if one gets the opportunity to develop their dormant Krishna consciousness, they no need to return to this world once again. There will not be any Punarapi Jananam and Punarapi Maranam. They will get liberated. And any place where one cannot hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from realized souls, even if it be a Brahmaloka, it is not very congenial to the living entity. It will not be favorable. to the, even the living entity reaches the Brahmaloka, or Tapoloka, or Pitraloka, or Devaloka, those situations will not be favorable for the living entity to go back to Godhead, because the opulence, one thing is the opulent level will be higher and higher when we go up in the, that is in the higher planetary systems. So there obviously in Bhuloka only we are actually so much inclined to the materialistic things. So when we see more opulent things, obviously our mind will be always into the rejoicement of the materialistic things. So going back to the Godhead and focusing on that in the upper planetary system is not possible because of the opulent also, one of the reasons. And we'll start only enjoying them. So like how we are enjoying in the materialistic way, we'll start enjoying. So when we hear the accumulation of good and bad deeds are there in this loka. So accordingly, one must clear both the accounts so that they should get nullified. So when actually we'll get those things nullified, the condition being we have read in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavadam and all, in earlier chapters also. So one performs unconditional devotional service, that means without any Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti. Obviously, there will not be any accumulation of these things, because they will be, that means they will be taken care not to, that is by the Supreme Lord's mercy. They won't perform any bad things, that is the sinful acts, and then whatever the good things they are doing, whatever the pious activities they are performing, whatever the devotional service they are performing, they'll be totally surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They will not have any expectation. So both the accounts will become nullified, and then it will become a pure devotional service. So then that advantage, if a living entity takes, so obviously they can go back to the Godhead. So this land is meant for that. Actually, it's a fortunate land actually. If one has taken birth in the land of Bharatavarsha as a human being, and if they are not taking advantage of this opportunity for the spiritual elevation, actually, his position is, he may fall down. Any moment he may fall down. There is no guarantee. So in the land known as Bharatavarsha, even if one is Sarvakama Bhakta, that means he is having full of materialistic desires. Okay. So even if he is praying the Supreme Lord for the opulence or whatever the needs in the materialistic way, still, if he has association of the devotees, slowly he will get freed from that materialistic desires, and then these desires, this materialist desires will get transformed to the spiritual desires actually by the association of the devotees. And ultimately he will become a pure devotee at one point of time, and then he will return back to the Godhead without difficulty. That means purely by the mercy of the Guru Parambara and by the Supreme Lord. So at the end of the chapter, Sukadeva Goswami describes to Parishit Maharaj the 8 sub-islands within the island of Jambudvipa. So the first sloka, it's a very small thing actually. Those who want to recite, I humbly request to raise your hands. Shishuka Uvacha. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, Chitra Mohini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Kim Purushe Varshe Bhagavatam Adi Purusham Lakshmanaghrajam Sita Viramam Ramam Tacharana Samnikarsha Aviratah Parama Bhagavato Hanuman Saha Kim Purushai Ara Virata Bhakti Upaste. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Anjali Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Shuka Uvacha Kim Purushe Varshe Bhagavantam Adi Purusham Lakshmana Agrajam Sita Abhiramam Ramam Tacharana Sannikarsha Abhirataha Parama Bhagavataha Hanuman Saha Kim Purushaihi Avirata Bhaktihi Upaste. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Revati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranams Mataji. Om Namo
Pranams.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Kim Purusha Varshe Bhagavantam Adi Purusham Lakshmanagrajam सीताभ्रामं रामं तच्चरण सन्निकर्ष प्रीतः परम भगवतो हनुमान सह किं पुरुषेर अभिवरद भक्ति रूपासते। हरे कृष्ण माता जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू माता जी। मधुमय कृष्ण कांति माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्री शुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरण सन्निकर्षाभिरतः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषैर अविरत भक्तिर उपास्ते। थैंक यू माता जी।
थैंक यू माता जी। सुरम्य माधवी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण।
श्री शुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्त आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्षाभिरतः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषैरविरत भक्तिर् उपासते। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। प्रकाश राव प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
हरे
ओम
कृष्ण।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्री सुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्षाभिरताः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषै अविरत भक्तिर उपास्ते।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण।
सुब्बाराव प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
श्री शुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तमादिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्षाभिरतः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषैरविरत भक्तिरुपास्ते। हरे कृष्ण।
यस श्रीनिवास प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। प्रणामास्तु।
प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
श्रीशुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्षाभिरतः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषैरविरतभक्तिरूपास्ते। हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। यस वेंकट नरसिंह प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण।
श्री शुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्ष अभिरतः परमभागवतो हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषे अरवेत अविरत भक्तिरूपास्ते। हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण। मधुमती विलासिनी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीशुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तमादिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं ततचरणसन्निकर्षाभिरतः परमभगवतः हनुमानसः किं पुरुषैरविरतभक्तिर उपासते। थैंक यू
थैंक यू
माता
माता।
जी। हरे
थैंक
कृष्ण।
यू माता। हरे कृष्ण। विजय कुमारी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी। प्रणाम
हरे
माता जी।
प्रणाम माता।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्री शुग उवाच किं पुरुष वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीता प्रामं रामं तच् शरण सन्निकर्षाभिरत परम भागवतो हनुमान सग किं पुरुष अविवरद भक्तिर उपास्ते। थैंक यू माता जी।
थैंक यू माता जी। प्राण नंदिनी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। प्रणाम माताजी।
प्रणाम।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एक्सटेंस श्री शुक उवाच किं पुरुषे वर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मणाग्रजं सीता अभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्षभिरातः परम भगवतो हनुमान सह किं पुरुषेर अविरत भक्तिरुपासते. हरे कृष्ण माताजी. थैंक यू
Thank
माताजी.
you, Mata. Usha Dayavati Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी. प्रणाम माताजी.
Pranam
ओम नमो
Mataji.
भगवते वासुदेवाय. श्रीसुक उवाच किं पुरुषवर्षे भगवन्तम् आदिपुरुषं लक्ष्मण अग्रजं सीताभिरामं रामं तच्चरणसन्निकर्ष अभिरतः भागवतः हनुमान् सह किं पुरुषै अविरत भक्ति उपासते. थैंक यू माताजी. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you all. Thank you all for your recitation. Shishuka Uvacha Kim Purushe Varsha Bhagavantam Adi Purusham Lakshmanagrajam Sita Viramam Ramam Tacharana Sannikarsha Viratah Parama Bhagavato Hanuman Saha Kim Purushay Avirata Bhakti Upasate. Synonyms. Shishuka Uvacha. Shishukade Goswami continued to speak. Kim Puru Varshe, the tract of land known as Kim Purusha. Bhagavantam, the supreme personality of Godhead. Adi Purusham, the original cause of all causes. Lakshmana Agrajam, the elder brother of Lakshmana. Sita Ramam, who is very pleasing to Mother Sita, or who is the husband of Sita Devi. Ramam, Lord Ramachandra. Tacharana Sannikarsha Abhiratah. One always engaged in the service at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. Parama Bhagavata, the great devotee celebrated throughout the universe. Hanuman, His Grace Hanumanji, Saha with Kim Purusha, the inhabitants of the tract of land known as Kim Purusha. Aviratah, continuous. Bhakti, who possess devotional service. Upate, worships. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, my dear king, in Kim Purusha Varsha, the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in a devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshmana and the dear husband of Sita Devi. So here Sukadev Goswami is speaking with King Parikshit Maharaj about that is about the prayers that is submitted by the Hanuman, the great devotee, the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, Lord Ramachandra. So that is in the Kim Puru Varsha. So we will continue in the next two slokas. Third sloka is the prayer. Maybe tomorrow Mataji will be taking. Here, this is only the introduction part of this sloka, wherein we have read the summary of this entire chapter. With this today, I will conclude. If any doubts or any insights, if you want to share here, I humbly request devotees to come forward and speak. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Really, this one is very, very important, Mataji. Bharta, about Bharta was the keynote of the. See, here also he says that Krishna conscious. If you are in Krishna conscious, you are sure to be away from this material inert, come back after death. Material world. That's a beautiful thing. And see, that is the primary thing. Devotion. This I think it relates to me. Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter. Devotional service. Sota Goswami tells to understand. Savaivamsa Puro, Kada Mataji.
Savaivamsa Parodharma Yato Bhakti
Adokshaji. Ahetiki Apratita. Suprasidati ani. The devotional importance of the uninterrupted, unmotivated, that completely satisfy yourself. That is the important devotional service, importance of devotional. It has mentioned in that chapter, Mataji.
Divinity. Divine and divine.
The supreme occupation of your dharma, that is dharma, is only your humanity. That is the loving devotional service is the main occupation. That should be your the two transcendental Lord. That Lord Somehow it recollects me that.
It's very,
The
very
two
high. And
key
then,
words, Mataji,
yes,
Anahaitika Aprathihata.
yes,
Yeah,
Haituki and
Pratihya,
Apradihata. Yeah. Uninterrupted and
uninterrupted,
unmotivated.
unmotivated.
That means without any
Hmm.
personal benefit. And then without any interruption. So that means the interruption means you should not get the deviation. That means the mind is totally observed in the devotion. Totally
Yes,
observed.
yes,
So, and why this Bharat Varsha is so, because generally we have studied in Bhagavad Gita, wherever we go also we have to come back here. Why we have to come back here? And there we are, here we are accumulating the pious activities, whereas there we'll be spending those pious activities. There we don't have any accumulation. Whatever we have acquired here, that will be spent there. For example, if we go to a resort, we will be spending there something and then we'll be coming back again. Correct now? So again we'll come home and then we'll earn money and then we increase our bank balance. So that's how the practicality we have to think. So there we are going to spend our punyas and all. So even for sins also we have to suffer. So in any other worlds, in the 14 lokas, wherever we go, we have to spend the things apart from the Bhumandal. So here we'll be accumulating actually. So
Another important is Bharatavarsha. The
yes,
importance of Bharatavarsha is
yes,
Vanashrama Dharma. Following
yes,
the Vanashrama.
yes.
That was
Even
it.
if it goes down also,
Yeah.
again it will be rescued back. So
Rescued.
that is the
That's
speciality.
what Narada says.
So yes, so that means all these days we have heard. So taking birth in India is it's like a great thing because but why it is like that we are able to visualize here actually in this chapter. So what happens, because basic is we follow the Vedic principles and we follow the Varnashrama Dharma. Even if some fluctuations, if it goes down also, again we'll be coming back by the mercy of the Supreme and the Guru Parampara. Okay?
We are fortunate to be born in this.
Yes. So how many people we are realizing?
Yeah, really.
We are not realizing. Correct. Now we are not utilizing. We are not utilizing the opportunity.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Thank
That
you
is
very much
my
for
idea.
your word.
My idea.
Yeah. So let us pray for everyone.
Yes.
So that let them
Thank
also
you.
get the opportunity actually. Who
Thank
are
you
there.
for giving me opportunity to talk. Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji.
Thank you. Usha Mataji, anything you want to speak here? Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can unmute and speak actually.
Yeah, that's what Prabhuji said. We have to be very fortunate enough to be born in this country because God has been there for a very long time, all the avatars, all these things. So that's what I wanted to say. Yes. So I forgot to lower my hand. Hare Krishna.
No problem, Mataji. Prananandini Mataji, you want to speak?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes.
Actually, as Prabhu told, now we are so fortunate to be born in this Bharatvarsha, and we are more fortunate because we are getting every day this association.
Yes, devotee association.
Morning.
Yes.
One question I want to ask Mataji, whether Purusha Varsha is a part of Bharatvarsha, Mataji?
Yes, it's a tract of land, it has been told.
Yes,
let us see. But upcoming slokas, I am also reading along with you. So
yes,
maybe Prema Mataji can give more insight because she would have done already the thing. I have read all the cantos, but I have not completed. I'm also going along with this. Maybe Madhumai Mataji, you have read all the cantos. So have you ever come to know this Mataji in the upcoming slokas? Actually, I have not read actually. So I'm following along with Prema Mataji. So I have to read.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If I come across in any of the classes, I will certainly let you know. Okay, Hare Krishna. Madhumai Mataji, you want to speak something? Hare Krishna, you are raised here.
So nicely, the Bharatavarsha, all of us are very fortunate in this. But even in this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given one more this thing. Bharatavarsha Janma Yara, Janma Sartaka Kara, Kara Para Upakara. So we have been fortunate enough to be born in the land where Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all have come here and done the Leela. And so we have got a more opportunity to get self-realized because of this, the bhumi, where there is a lot of varnashrama dharma is followed, and all the glorification, sadhu sangha, everything is there. So
Yes.
one more responsibility is added into this by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Janma sartaka kara, kara para upakara. So we have to self-realize ourselves and give this Krishna consciousness to others.
Yes.
So that responsibility is fallen upon us because
Yes.
we have been in a favorable situation. So I just wanted to add this.
Very nice,
Shri-
Mataji. Very nice
Shri-
realization. Yes.
Srila Prabhupada also is born in this and he has distributed. So we have to take over his mantle and become the
Yes.
instrument in the hand
Very
of
nice.
Srila Prabhupada to serve his mission.
Yes. Very nice, Mataji. Very nice realization. Very nice. Yes. Chaitanya Charitamritam. Wherever we are reading, every instant actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is insisting on the preaching, sharing this devotional service, and then making others also to perform the Sankirtana. So that is very, very important. Only we doing Sankirtana is not sufficient. Only we elevate is not sufficient. We have to elevate other fallen souls also. That is very, very wonderful realization, Mataji. Thank you very much
He
for
has also
sharing.
told Yaradika Tarekaha Krishna
Yes.
Upadesha. So we should
Yes.
try to spread as much as possible this Krishna
Yes.
Prajna.
Yes. Thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis, for joining this morning session actually and giving me the opportunity to serve.